afternoon, and welcome to DIS News this Tuesday, September 8th. I'm your host, Cody Redotic. Joining me is DIS sports anchor Jordana Grafman and meteorologist Devi Kinkabwala. Jordana, what can we expect from the world of sports today?
I've got the latest scoop on the Williams sisters rivalry in the U.S. Open.
And how's the weather, Devi?
Thanks, Cody. As this summer comes to an end, we're seeing extreme weather hitting parts of the country.
Thanks, ladies. And now for today's news. Today's top story, President Obama signed an executive order Monday requiring federal contractors to provide workers with up to 7 days of paid sick leave. His announcement comes as the president attempts to mend relations with union leaders after sparring with them over new free trade agreements this spring. In a speech to union workers at a Boston hotel, he also directly criticized Republican presidential candidates who have used their anti-union stances as campaign rallying calls. Without mentioning names, Obama took aim at Governor Scott Walker's insistence that his battle against Wisconsin teachers would prepare him to take on ISIS, and scoffed at Governor Chris Christie's blunt statement that unions needed a, quote, punch in the face. The executive order will first go through a public comment period before taking effect in 2017. Shifting our sights to China and finance news. In an effort to prop up their currency, China is burning through its foreign exchange reserves at a rapid pace. In August alone, they have spent $94 billion US. This is the sharpest monthly fall on record and the largest fall in percentage terms since May 2012. The total has declined steadily from a peak of nearly $4 trillion in June of last year. The slowing economic growth caused investors to move money out of the country in search of better returns elsewhere. As a result, the Chinese central bank has had to sell huge amounts from its foreign reserves to maintain the strength of the nation's currency. Initially, economists thought the currency drop of 3% against the dollar would have a limited impact, but it may intensify if the currency yields to market pressure for further depreciation. Still, China has the world's biggest cache of foreign reserves, standing at $3.56 trillion at the end of last month. Now, turning to more local news, the refugee crisis in Europe has been highly debated among politicians as of late. Let's take to the streets of Odense with Alex Bandea and hear about some of what the locals have to say.
Thanks, Cody. Denmark has been feeling the effects of the refugee crisis, and recently, Foreign Minister Kristian Jensen has backed UK Prime Minister David Cameron on reducing migrant benefits. We are talking to locals today about their opinions on a common asylum policy, whether or not they agree with Jensen's stance, and Denmark's general attitude towards migrants. Here's what the locals had to say.
I actually think that it would be best if we have the same attitude policy to the refugees.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And why is that?
Because I think it's good that we stick together and deal with the problems together.
I think this should not be the same on each country. Then Denmark's and Danish people think something, and the United Kingdom's people think another thing, and German people maybe also think another thing. To decide on what the different countries' culture are.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And do you agree with Jensen's stance on reducing migrant benefits?
No, I don't agree about that.
And why is that?
Why should we? We have enough here in Denmark.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, yes, we put a lot of money in it. But also the people who come up here need the money.
And what do you believe is the general attitude for migrants in Denmark? Is it usually more hostile, or do you think the people are more welcoming in terms of the general public?
Normally, the Danish people, the minority, think it's okay that's coming in Denmark, but small kind of people of Denmark think otherwise, and then that's all what we're hearing.
But I think most of the Danish people think that we should do something together and have rules together, I think.
It seems like the refugee crisis is a complex situation even for the local Danes. It's interesting to see how the politicians will respond to this. This has been Alexandra Bandea, DIS News. Back to you, Cody.
Thanks, Alex. The refugee crisis is ongoing, and we will continue to follow any updates. Now let's check in with Jordana for an update on the upcoming sibling rivalry at the U.S. Open.
Thanks, Cody. For the first time since 2008, Venus and Serena Williams will face off in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open tonight at the Arthur Ashe Stadium at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This match will be their 27th time professionally competing against each other. Serena beat out 19th-seeded player Madison Keys in straight sets. She also won Wimbledon earlier in the year and has a bid for calendar year Grand Slam, a title last held by Steffi Graf in 1988. Older sister Venus who beat out 19-year-old Annette Kontaveit 6-2, 6-1, will advance the furthest into the Open she has in years. In 2011, she withdrew from the Flushing Meadows competition due to an autoimmune disease. While both sisters admit that the sibling rivalry is intense, Serena explained that they, quote, have proven you can be enemies on the court and friends after. Even though they are going head-to-head, their support for each other was clear when Serena said, quote, at least one of us, a Williams, will be in the semis. Now, Cody with some entertainment news.
Thanks, Jordana. Kanye West's 2020 presidential announcement at the 2015 Video Music Awards sent shockwaves through both the entertainment and political circles. Chelsea Clinton, daughter of current Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton, thought not endorsing the unofficial 2020 candidate supports West's overall message in his acceptance speech for MTV's Video Vanguard Award. Mr. West preceded his announcement by encouraging the millennials to have a voice and try to create a better world for future generations. Commending West, Clinton said, I definitely think who runs for office is really important, even if him just saying that helps spark a little boy or a little girl who is watching the VMAs to think, oh wow, maybe I should do that. That's awesome. While maintaining support for her mother, Clinton praises West for his positive messages and brave endeavors. Now let's check in with Debbie, who has the weather for us today.
Thanks, Cody. It looks like the summer heat is going to continue this afternoon in New York. We're looking at possible record highs today, reaching a high of 93 degrees in the early evening and 0 clouds in the sky. Later this week, we see temperatures slowly dropping as the weekend approaches. Tomorrow it's going to be cloudy with a high of 88. Thursday we're going to see scattered thunderstorms throughout the day with a high of 83. Friday, September 11th, the rain will die down to partly cloudy and a high of 83. Over the weekend, we'll see the temperatures drop to the high 70s with beautiful sunshine on Saturday and a 50% chance of rain on Sunday. In the weather news for today, extreme weather continues to sweep the nation with the Midwest experiencing flash floods and a chance of hail. Over the past 2 weeks, we've seen unusual weather in all parts of the country. On the Pacific coast, severe winds created massive waves in the northwest, and unusually warm waters in the Pacific Ocean sparked 3 hurricanes on the coast of Hawaii. As we move to the Midwest, southern Utah experienced a massive mudslide moving at an estimated 35 miles per hour, and multiple tornadoes were reported in Nebraska and Kansas. The aftermath of Tropical Storm Erica, which was the deadliest natural disaster in Dominica since the 1970s, affected parts of the Carolinas and Florida. Charleston, South Carolina recorded 6.4 inches of rain, and the Tampa area in particular has been soaked in recent weeks. Luckily, the weather is supposed to improve in the next few weeks as heat waves dissipate and the temperature moves towards typically fall numbers. That's all for the weather today. Now back to you, Cody.
Thanks, Debbie. And that's our show for the day. From all of us at DIS News, thank you for joining us this afternoon.